Do you have it in you to listen to one more talk? Do you? Okay. So a couple things. You know, we really appreciate everyone that came, and I know some people travel from afar, Buffini's and Barrera's from California, Melanie and Butch from the East Coast, the Fitzgerald from California, and a unique person. How many of you here know Sister Donna Quinn? By a show of hands? We're honored that she came. 4 days ago, my mom was actually able to convince her to leave her post at Occupy Wall Street and attend our wedding. So, thanks for coming. A couple of quick things I want to share that are kind of interesting and curious. I met Karen on the north side of Chicago, kind of far away from where we grew up on the south side. But then once we met, we started tracing back all the web of connections that we already had, and I just want to share a few with you. So initially, first thing that became obvious is we both had South Side roots. So Karen's parents, my parents came from the South Side. That was kind of interesting. Then we found out that Karen's great aunt, Barb Malarkey, lived 6 doors away from where my sister Mary and her husband built their house in Oak Lawn. Then on top of that, she used to tell me about her cousin Matt, and he moved to the suburbs, and he moved not to the same town or the same street, but right next door to my brother Joe. Exactly next door. And Matt, we appreciate it. I know Joe told me that he woke you up 2 times at 6 in the morning to jump his car. Thank you. Tejal and Marty, who are here tonight, have a son that actually plays on my nephew's soccer team. Marty also grew up in Oak Lawn and knew Therese, who's my sister-in-law. Karen's grandpa, Stu McCutcheon, went to St. Rita and was a fan and followed the football team. My nephews went to St. Rita, played on the football team, so that was another connection point. And then there's 2 more actually. My sister Nancy is related to one of the Hickeys, and they're a close family friend of the Georges. So they went to a lot of family parties that, if we didn't know, I probably would have bumped into my own sister at. And then another funny story is Karen's dad, actually, there was an incident at Midway, and my brother Charlie, who's kind of a big shot on the fire department, and Karen's dad, who's... So there was an incident at Midway, and my brother Charlie, who's a big shot in the fire department, and then Karen's dad, who's an even bigger shot at Southwest, actually met at Midway to figure things out. And all Charlie could tell me is he didn't know who I was. But anyway, so what I just want to do now is just share 3 quick stories, and just this talks more about Karen and I. So the first story is how we met, and we met June 6, 2007. I vividly remember it. Karen and I both belong to a club called the Chicago Triathlon Club. So if you're in Chicago, you want to mix with other triathletes, you go to this once-a-month meeting, you mix with people, you share war stories, you hear a talk about something, nutrition or how to get faster. And I remember walking in, and I was on the welcoming committee, and I remember looking across the room and seeing this woman named Karen George, and my jaw dropped. When she looked, I was like, wow, look at those eyes. And then I saw her talking to someone and she smiled. I was like, wow, look at that smile. And I had a good friend in the club whose name was Kimberly. And Kimberly was a unique person. She was a great triathlete. She was not interested in men, but she was interested in women. And I was friends with Kimberly. And later in the evening, I saw Karen in a group talking to Kimberly. So I thought, this is my chance to go up and meet Karen. So I went up, kind of barged in. Karen said, hey, I'm looking for people that I could train with. We could do bike rides, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Who has a pen? We can work something out. She's like, well, you on Facebook? I'm like, yeah, Facebook, scrapbooks, sure, we can do that. So anyway, I was talking to Karen and Kimberly. Later that evening, I get a text from Kimberly. And Kimberly says, how about Karen? Wow, she was hot! Exclamation point. This is a true story. And I was like, I paused, and then I sent a text back that said, Kimberly, hot for you hot, or hot in my interest hot? And I sent it, then 5 minutes, Kimberly said, no, hot for you hot. This is you should like train with us. So we started training. And then, so what was kind of neat is after I met Karen, the summer of 2007, when I look back at that summer, that was the most supernatural, amazing time that we got to hang out and, you know, do long runs and do long bike rides and just really get to know each other and build this amazing foundation of friendship. Later that would change, but, and I mean, one example was, you know, I was training for this really long triathlon, and I signed up for this race called Horribly Hilly Hundreds. It's a 100-mile bike ride in the worst hills of Wisconsin. So I signed up for that, set to do it, because I'm training for this big race. After I signed up, and that was on a Saturday, I get a call from Karen, emailed me and said, hey, there's this race in Naperville. It's on Sunday, or I'm sorry, it's a ride. It's only a 70-mile ride. Well, I was already booked to bike 100 miles. This is a ride that people, the hills are so steep, they get off their bike and push it up. But I was so excited at the opportunity to bike with Karen. I like did the 100 miles, stayed in a ratty hotel in Naperville, met her. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling fine, let's do it. And you know what's great is we bike for like 5 hours, and when you're biking, there's really nothing else you can do but talk. And so that was, again, when I look back at that, was kind of a magical summer. So that was the first story. Second story, I'm going to make this fast. You guys not enjoying it? Second story, all right. Okay, the second story is when I was hanging out with Karen, we were exercising and doing these long rides. All of a sudden, I heard about this guy named Michael. So I was kind of like, what's the deal? Because I was starting to grow fond of Karen, and she's like, oh yeah, I bike with you, I bike with Michael. And I was like, what? You know, I picture this guy that's like 28, olive skin, 6'4", chiseled, and it bothered me. She's like, oh, I can't bike that weekend, bike with Michael. So it just like grated on me. And, you know, we figure things out. Michael's actually here tonight. You guys want to meet Michael? Mike, would you come up here? Come up here. This is Michael. Mike, thanks for asking, Mike.
Nothing to worry about, right?
Mike's been married 30 years. He doesn't have olive skin, and you can decide whether it's chiseled or not. Thanks.